Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to share with you how to make a fabulous cherry pie. I love cherry pie. You've been requesting it for a long time. I didn't have even a clue that I didn't have this recipe up on Laura in the Kitchen, which I don't know why, since it's so easy, and it's basically like the same thing as my blueberry pie, just with just a tiniest little bit of modification, which I'll explain to you in just a minute. But right now, while you can get these dark sweet cherries, you gotta make cherry pie. So the ingredients for it, super easy, simple. You'll need lots of fresh cherries. I'll discuss this in a second. Hey, I say a pit. I found one. And these are pitted. I've got some cornstarch, granulated sugar, a very small touch of almond extract, a little bit of lemon. You'll need a tiniest bit of vanilla. That's going to be the filling. Like I said, this is about the same thing as the filling for my blueberry pie, which is delicious. I know I did it a long time ago, but it's worth mentioning because it's just such a good classic. The only difference is I substitute about a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract for the cinnamon that I add in the blueberry pie. And I know that sounds crazy, but it makes it really delicious. And it almost like enhances the flavor of the cherries. Let's talk pie crust. Now I just made a double batch of my basic pie crust recipe. If you've been following me for years, you know that I make my standard pie crust for pretty much any pie that I'm gonna make from scratch. If I'm using homemade pie crust, it's delicious, it's easy. It's got all-purpose flour, a little bit of salt, some vegetable shortening, butter, and ice water. I made a double batch because I want to do a lattice topping for the top, and I rolled one of the pieces out and I placed it in a buttered 9-inch deep pie plate, so that's ready to go. All right, let's talk cherries. I've got about 6 cups of pitted cherries here. I'm going to add the cornstarch and the sugar. Now, I like to use sweet, dark cherries for this, but if you want to use the tart, like really ruby, like red cherries, then you'll just need to add a little bit more sugar. It makes no difference in terms of the outcome, you just need to add a little bit more sugar. I prefer the dark ones, but the world's your pickle, boo. You'll need about 6 cups of pitted cherries, and I know you can't measure them at the grocery store, so that's about 2.5 pounds of cherries, and it works perfect every time. A little bit of vanilla, a little squeeze of lemon, and all I'm going to do, get that little baby out. All I'm going to do is just toss all of this together to make sure that the cherries are well coated in the mixture. Gorgeous. Now I have a cherry pitter, which I highly suggest you get. If you want to make anything with fresh cherries, because otherwise it's such a pain. I'm going to see if my awesome camera guy producer will link it down below for you. It's really inexpensive, but it saves you sanity. And I have 2 of them that I've had for years and years, and they're still kicking. I got a little bit of butter, and I've sort of put it in teeny tiny little pieces, and I'm just sort of scattering that around like so. Ready? I've got my other piece of pie crust that I rolled out, and I just sort of cut it into about 1/2-inch strips, and we're going to just do a lattice topping. So here's what I do. I just do all of my stripes going this way. I make this as absolutely easy as possible. I don't like anything too complicated. You guys know that. So here's what I think works best. If you just do them all in one direction, just seal one edge. We're going to go over it anyway. And then you take every other, right? You have to come, the only way you can understand this is if you watch. You take every other and you sort of lift it like so. And then you put one under. I hope that makes sense, right? And then on your next piece, you'll flip the opposite. So you'll flip these 2. And you put another piece under, and you'll just continue to do that until you have your desired pattern. That's it. Okay, I'm just taking all of the excess dough off. Please don't throw it away. Regroup it, pop it in the freezer, and next time you want to make a small pie or you need a little pie crust for something, you'll have it ready. And this, because it's unsweetened, the pie crust, you can use it with like chicken pot pie or any of that. So just take off any excess. Beautiful, right? Now we take a little bit of egg wash, which is just 1 egg beaten with either a little bit of milk or a little bit of water. And I don't even crimp it because I don't know if you can see, but my pie plate is got a really beautiful edge, and so it kind of automatically creates a form if you just pinch it along the side. So hey, that makes it easier for me. And I just make sure to really brush this egg wash all over it because it's going to create a really beautiful golden brown crust. And because I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top, it will also help the sugar adhere to the pie crust. So all I'm going to do is brush it like so all over. Sprinkle the sugar over top of the crust like so, and then I'm going to pop this into the freezer for 15 minutes. And in the meantime, while this stays in the freezer for 15 minutes, I'm going to preheat my oven to 425. All right, it's been about 15 minutes. I've got my oven preheated to 425. I've got a baking sheet lined. Very disrespectful. But it is my timer telling me it's ready for this to go in the oven. I've got a baking sheet lined with aluminum foil, and that's because I placed my pie on the baking sheet just in case anything will bubble over, then it'll catch on the baking sheet and you can throw away the aluminum foil and your oven isn't a disaster. So 425, 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you lower the temperature to 350 for about 35 to 40 minutes or until really golden brown and bubbly. If the top of your crust is getting way too dark, way too fast, then you can tint it with some aluminum foil. It shouldn't, but you know what? It could happen. I'm going to pop this in, 15 minutes, lower, 35 to 40. How beautiful is this pie? I like to just dust the top with a little bit of sugar. Remember, 425, 15 minutes, you lower the temperature to 350, and it was in there for about 45 minutes, and it is perfection, and it just smells wonderful. You want to make sure you let it cool completely, because when it comes out of the oven, you'll notice that the cherry filling is like bubbly, which you want that, but you need to make sure that that cools and it sets. You don't need me to tell you that you need to serve this with vanilla ice cream, right? But for right now, just a slice of sweet cherry pie will do. And as you let that kind of cool, the first slice you know is the cook's treat because, oh, I mean, look at the way this holds. You know what? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of not having a medal when things come out so good. I mean, look how perfect that is. Nothing is oozing out. It's absolute sheer perfection. It holds unbelievably well. And I love, see these whole cherries with a really soft, you see that? Soft and delicious. You know what? That's what I'm all about. I'm about that. I'm about that life. You know, somebody take this away from me. Because I will eat the entire thing. And I'm not kidding. That is perfection. It's like actual, like, yummy cherry flavor. And the almond extract, all it does is it enhances a cherry-like flavor. It's just, it's phenomenal. You will love it. Go to laurainthekitchen.com, get the recipe, knock it out of the park. And if you don't serve this with some vanilla ice cream, I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna be mad because I'm expecting it. You just gotta do it. Get the recipe. I'll see you next time.